Republicans in Oklahoma passed a ban on gay marriage in that state. Judge Kern, a state, I don't know, state Supreme Court or whatever it was. I don't know which kind of judge he is. It was U.S. District Court. U.S. District Judge Terrence Kern ruled that this is a violation of the 14th Amendment, the Equal Protection Clause of the U.S. Constitution. This is the basis on which most of these federal judges have been striking down statewide bans on gay marriage. And so a Republican state representative, Mike Turner, says, okay, if gays can't get married, or if gays can get married, if that's the way it's going to be, then let's just do away with marriage altogether. Nobody can get married. Seems a little odd to me, kind of an unusual position, but Austin Peterson thinks it's kind of cool, and I'm wondering why. Austin is a libertarian commentator. He's the editor of thelibertarianrepublic.com, thelibertarianrepublic.com, the website. Austin, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me, Tom. Good to talk to you.
Are you married?
No, hopefully someday.
Okay, so
maybe one day.
Okay, so
thanks for bringing it up, Tom.
Well, no, the reason I was asking was, when you get married, I've been married for 42 years. You understand that there are a whole bunch of laws that benefit you. It's just like, when you get rich, when, in the years where I've made a lot of money, the very first time I ever did, it shocked me that I didn't have to pay Social Security taxes anymore on, half my year's income. I was like, whoa, right. This is really cool. Like, the tax code is skewed so that rich people, make out even better than working people. And I can tell you that the tax code is also skewed so that married people make out better than single people. And we do that. We do both of those things because presumably there's some social value. The Republicans have convinced us that having rich people run the country is a good thing. And I think pretty much everybody has convinced us that we should provide some preferential treatment to married people because we want people to get married, because that's an institution that has stability and is good for society. So why would you want to ban marriage?
Well, really, I don't want to ban marriage. I mean, just because the government doesn't do it doesn't mean that people won't do it. I mean, remember, Tom, the very first marriage laws in this country were meant to keep blacks from marrying whites. It was about banning marriage between interracial couples. And I would never want to ban marriage, but I mean, think about
No, the very first marriage laws
have been about stopping polygamy. So if marriage is good, why not marriage with 2 or 3 or 4 people? Maybe that's even better than
well, the very
I don't want to be in the business of telling people what is a social good or not. The reason why I was excited about this debate in Oklahoma was because it finally was having the discussion that marriage was a private contract, and that under the equal protections, the privileges and immunities afforded to us under the 14th Amendment, that the government should have no say in telling people that they can't have a marriage, that one group of people can have a marriage and that other people can't. So I thought it was exciting because even though I know it's a little too optimistic for a classical liberal such as myself to believe that this would actually happen, it's taking the direction of bringing it towards that libertarian conversation of saying that the marriage is a contract between people who love each other, and it doesn't matter what the government says, and that the government should not be banning it for anyone. I don't think the government should be banning it, but I like the fact that people are talking about
okay, so let me please don't filibuster me, Austin.
Nobody can have it.
Austin, please don't filibuster me. Let's have a conversation here. We only have 4 minutes left. Okay. So if I understand you correctly, what you're saying is that a society giving a tax preference, basically, to married people is a violation of the 14th Amendment because single people don't get that tax privilege. Would you say the same thing? Would you say the same thing about people who own their houses rather than rent them? Should they get the mortgage tax exemption? I think you can build a strong case for that, actually.
Oh, I would say that. Yeah, sure. I mean, again, I really don't like a government that picks winners and losers.
That's right. Okay. All right. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Then would you say the same thing about people who incorporate a business? Should they be able to deduct from their taxes things like 3 martini lunches and travel and staying in nice hotels and going to the Koch brothers mansion and stuff like that?
No, and the reason is because I would abolish the tax code as it stands, and I would if I had to institute a tax, I'd have a flat tax, and that would be just across the board. And I know you don't like that, but
so every corporation would pay the same tax.
I would not want to give any special benefit to anybody for any reason.
So every corporation would pay the same amount of tax.
everybody would pay the same amount of taxes flat across the board.
So if you start a small business and you're losing, I mean, typically you lose money the first couple of years. I've never started a business that I didn't lose money the first 2 years. Even though you've lost money, you think that business should pay taxes?
Well, yeah, the thing is, I started a business 6 months ago, and luckily I've been profitable for the last 6 months, thank goodness, knock on wood. But I do take all the deductions that I can just so that I can stay afloat. But if I had the option to, I would rather just pay a flat tax across the board because it's much less confusing. I'm not very good at mathematics, so it takes a lot for me to run my business and be able to do all the tax code. So I think it would actually be less of a burden if everybody knew what they had to pay every year. It would actually simplify things.
Well, at least you're consistent. So So corporations should pay the same taxes as individuals.
I think everybody should pay a flat tax across the board at the same level if we're going to have a tax at all. But ideally, I'd like to get rid of tax, the type of tax code that we have. And a flat tax to me is just a stepping down towards what I'm really looking for, which is an abolition of most of the taxes. But back on the marriage issue, it's really exciting nowadays. I mean, Tom, you were talking about marijuana earlier. Like, didn't you see that was a Republican who had instituted that medical marijuana in Georgia?
Yeah.
And now here we see Republicans pushing for what is, in essence, the constitutionality of marriage here in Oklahoma. I mean, are you somewhat excited to see the sort of the rise of classical liberalism amongst Republicans in America?
Yeah, using the European,
really your thoughts on this,
you're using the word liberalism in the European context. I think it's fascinating. I personally, I think that we, the people, together, in person assembled through our elected representatives, should pick some winners and losers. We should collectively say, we understand morality. We understand that there are some things that are good for society and there are some things that are bad for society, that we're going to tax tobacco and alcohol, and we're going to give a tax advantage to people who get married. I just think that, we want to encourage some behaviors and discourage other behaviors.
The people who you disagree with then, Tom, when they take power, remember, they will ban gay marriage because they will see it as a negative.
Well, they have for the past 230 years.
People to take away your rights when the opposing party is in power. The people who you disagree with,
I understand
take
that.
your rights away, Tom.
I understand that. In fact, gays have not had these rights for 200 years. And the first marriage laws, by the way, apropos your very beginning filibuster, were about how women were the property of men. Women, marriage laws in America started out as property laws, and they didn't really become tax laws until the early 20th century. And then we started saying, okay, we've got these taxes, let's use them as ways to encourage or discourage behavior that is good or bad for society. And I think that's a reasonable thing under those conditions when we actually have majority rule. I just don't think we have that right now. I'm concerned about the billionaires' ability to buy politicians, but that's kind of a tangent. So you would say that people should get no tax benefit if they get married.
No, I really feel that it's unfair now that me being a single person that I don't get that benefit. But again, I don't want to force more people to pay taxes. I don't want more people paying more revenue to a government that I disagree with.
So again, you don't. Wait a minute, you just contradicted yourself.
Say again?
You just contradicted yourself.